Hi there, everybody. My name is Kate, and welcome to my platform, Energy Awakens Naturally. Today, this is a timeless message. They all are. However, it's relevant to today specifically as I'm making this video. Today is the full moon, the harvest moon in Pisces. And man, oh man, oh man. That's bringing up some weird stuff. We have a very thin veil. For those that understand that, you already know, or I'm letting you know, or however you're identifying. But the veil is very thin, if not non-existent at this point. People are not allowed to really get away with tossing off feelings and doing weird stuff without it being real noticed. And if you notice around the world, at least in my world, I've been seeing some very strange activity that it's no longer concerning me. It's almost amusing me and making me want to barf all at the same time. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because today, going forward, it seems that we went into Mercury retrograde yesterday. Timeless message. So pull in. We went into Mercury retrograde yesterday, and then today we pulled into the harvest moon, full moon in Pisces, and got all watery weird. We got watery emotions that are all over the place, some of us, and I know I've had a day of just weird stuff going on, and hearing thoughts and things coming in that when I really listen to that, like, that's not really me. That's not really how I identify. What is that? Well, take that and put that on the shelf for a second, and let me set up a story of really super duper awkward and very supernatural weird. Okay, super duper, yeah, just weird. Okay, so the other day, I live in Colorado Springs, and I went to a place called St. Mary's Falls, which is gorgeous. I was driving up the side of this mountain in my little Subaru Forester, being all kinds of from Florida, okay? Mountain driving and having no guardrails. They gave up on guardrail budget, or people were too scared to put them in or something. I don't know. But you're driving on these mountains here in Colorado, and these people know what they're doing. I don't. Well, after a fairly harrowing experience on Pikes Peak, I figured I'm good to stick around home a little closer. I'll just, do that. Well, that drive up to St. Mary's was by and large a huge reduction of stress from Pikes Peak. That was a nightmare, an absolute this was not as bad. However, I was noticing, because I had the experience at Pikes Peak that really terrified me, that I'm gonna have to work for this one, and there's no place to turn around and things like that, very few, so you got to just go with it. Go boo, because you're here, and what else are you gonna do? And it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of tweaking and triggering from the experience I had on Pikes Peak. So I'm driving up, and my little Subaru Forester, Matilda is a stick shift, and yeah, I was showing my skill, grinding a little bit, trying to take the hill. Well, I noticed somebody behind me. It's 6:30 in the morning. There's no one on this road. And of course, someone, comes kind of creeping up behind me, and I'm thinking, no. And they were pushing just a little bit, not horrible, but just a little bit. And I thought, okay, I should probably, and instantly yeah, I don't do that should thing. If I say should, I gotta shut up with the should, because I don't want some fool behind me dictating how I drive, especially if I'm scared, And he seemed like he wanted to go around, and I thought, okay, cowboy, if you want to do that, you go right on ahead, and I'll deal with the stress of, you doing weird cowboy stuff on the side of a mountain at 6:30 in the morning. Where are you going? There's nothing up there but a lot of hiking. Where do you need to go so fast? So anyway, I'm making all these judgments and just hanging tough, because it was keeping my mind busy, thank you very much, with let me just concentrate on driving and let this person do what they gotta do. They must have felt it, seen it, I don't know. They had an epiphany of go slower, leave this woman alone, and so they kind of backed off. They weren't horrible, but it was noticeable. So I got up to the top, I parked my little car, got my stick out, and off I go, right? And I don't think another thing of it. Well, there's no one in this parking lot. 6:30 in the morning, and there is no one in this parking lot except for my car over there and like one or two. And I didn't notice where these people parked or came in or anything. I didn't care. I still don't. It just, whatever. I parked way over by the trail. So take that, and I grab my stuff and off I go, and I start hiking. Well, excuse me, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trail. Let me say right off the top, it's beautiful. And I didn't make it all the way, man. I chickened out because I had to do the boot scooch in some spot that got a little bit too crazy for me. I just couldn't. I tried, and I started slipping and sliding, and went, oh yeah, I'm really not qualified to do that here, so let me, turn around. Well, I had really been enjoying myself and really hugging the side of the mountain. I'm all into hugging that mountain, man. Get me over there where the guardrails still aren't over there. However, I've got a magnet in this mountain. If I, hug it, hopefully, that I'm not over there, possibly, losing my mind with the fear of getting too close to it. Why would I? So, no matter how it looks, no matter how stupid, there's many people here that just billy goat right up and billy goat right down, and they got no problems. Well, that's not me. So I just put it in my mind of people are going to have to just go around me, do whatever they want to do. And if I'm, screwing up the hiking protocol, somebody can stop me and let me know. Otherwise, go on ahead and go, do what you got to do. But there really wasn't too many, there weren't too many people on the trail, and there wasn't a whole lot of activity. So as I was making my way up, it wasn't that bad. I just noticed that, oh yeah, I've gotten into this place where no, I'm sad, and it did get bad. So I turned around, not super duper duper, high stress, but just enough to be frustrating and kind of, right? So I make my way back down. I've shimmied back, from that crucial point, and I am noticing there's some people as I get down to the main trail, that's open to the drop down however many thousands of feet it is. I'm there coming down out of the top, right? And it's more open, there's more people, and a lot of people stop there. Not most, I shouldn't say, but many people stop there because it is noticeable. You work for those pictures of the waterfalls and stuff, and you sacrifice going all the way to the top when you just can't make it. Your skill set doesn't take you there, you stop. But anyway, I came down and there were some people standing, close to the edge, and that just makes me nervous, like, I can't even see that without that really, bothering me. And rather than, look at it or whatever, I just adapt, like, all right, I'm not going to try to wiggle in, scooch in around you. So I cut through some trees. Well, I had my hair, in a big old bun, and I got it stuck in the tree. Yeah, I did. I went scooting up underneath it, and my bun was grabbing hold, and the tree in my bun had a minute, and it took a minute for me to get undone. And I had sap in my hair and everything else, and it took a few seconds. And the people that I was avoiding, having to get too close to that edge were kind of looking at me like, whatever. And so, I had the chance to feel stupid or whatever, and I was just so glad to be unstuck from the stinking tree that I was like, whatever, just get away from me, let me get away from thee. And so I come, cruising out from underneath the tree with all, my hair and scarecrow stuff, and I take the bun out, right, and my hair's all over the place, and I'm shaking it out, doing my thing, and I'm hugging close to the mountain. I'm coming down it now, and there's I've come to the spot where the road is super wide. They want to make sure they have plenty of roadway or trail for the horses to ride. Okay, unfortunately no horses, that would have just done me in. But there were some men, some older gentlemen that were standing real close to that edge and just talking and chatting like there was nothing going on. And I'm, they're patting out trying to get rid of the sap from the tree and stuff, and I look over and I'm thinking, what is wrong with these people that they're standing next to that? Do they not understand how dangerous that is, right? And I do realize that's my fear. Not everybody has that, dear. I did get that, but I'm a smart aleck, and so I like the opportunity to hop in and relieve some of my stress by saying, hey, you guys want to step away from the edge there? You're making me nervous. Interesting. Opened up a very strange door. Hang on, man. This is super weird. These people, these two men, older gentlemen, right? They start laughing, and I said, well, I'm from Florida, below sea level, we're not used to mountain ops, and this has just weirded me out. And this one guy, he says, oh, we can come over here and try. And I said, no. I said, that's not what I do. That's not how I stretch my, ability to push myself past my capability. Is not a good way to do that. I already was fighting with the tree back there. My bun's all sticky, and I really didn't want to get into a conversation. But since we're here, and I'm glad I did, I learned a lot. and I learned a lot. That I chatted with these dudes, and here's where, supernatural phenomenon and all the, 5D ascension spirituality, all the woo-woo weird shit, it got really super weird. And just because something is synchronistically coming at me does not mean that that is the flow of the now that where I need to be. So I start talking to these dudes, right? They are from Florida, South Florida. Not many people are from Florida. They're just not. You have a meeting of the native Floridians, you're going to get all 5 of us in a room, maybe. There just aren't that many of us. So I was kind of taken with seriously, and he goes, wait a minute, are you the one, 1010, thank you. Are you the one that has the Florida plates? And I'm like, yeah. I said, are you the one with Florida plates too, I assume? And he goes, we were behind you. I'm like, that was you kind of pressing up on me? He goes, yeah, we were kind of wanting to go around you. And so I was a little bit like, but I was trying to be, respectful and kind, and I'm thinking, hey, you're from Florida, do you mind? And whatever. So, there was kind of some mixed feelings in me. And suddenly, the younger of the 2 gentlemen, they're about 20 years difference, all right, between me and them. About 20 years. I'm 54, so you do the math. And the guy says, can I just say, we're friends. Okay, we're friends, right? We're close enough. I can tell you your hair is gorgeous. That's one that a lot of people land on, and okay, whatever. How I look and all of that, whatever. Okay, I'm not immune to it, and it's nice. However, when it just lands there and stops there, I'm a little bit more than my hair, because what if it falls out tomorrow? Am I screwed? 11-11. So we got to talking, right? We're chatting, and we finished talking, and I started to make my way down, and as it was, they turned around and we kind of caught up, and so we ended up going down the mountain. And this one dude, he was, as we chatted, he said, oh, where in Florida did you live? And I told him, and he said, you're never going to believe this. So I bet I will. Is it weird? I'm sure I will. Well, he lived about a mile from my favorite restaurant in that area that was about a mile from where I lived. So a 2-mile radius maybe on the one older guy. And that's where he lived and where he traveled back and forth. The other one traveled around in an RV or something, okay? They're brothers. So that was kind of weird. Well, there's the assumption that because we've got this tie, we don't have a tie just because this is very, supernaturally weird and, kind of funky that we know the area and stuff. It can be interpreted that God must have brought you or spirit must have brought you in, I suppose. However, I'm go there that nobody brought you into me unless I know that from divinity. And if I don't feel that, then that is not how that's going to be. That's just not. So, I was trying to gently put the boundary of please don't get familiar. And he kept trying, the younger of the 2, 20-year difference, and 25 on the other one. So the one guy, the younger guy, he's like, yeah, if I hold your hand, will you come out close to the edge? And I said, no. And he said, well, how are you going to grow? And I said, not like that. That's terrifying. I said, why would I do something that I know is going to be terrifying for me, especially after I've been fighting a tree and the mountainside. And I've already been kind of, I've pushed my limit already by coming here at all after getting stuck on Pikes Peak the other day. Give me a break, dude. And you're not my anything. You're not my coach. I didn't ask you for that level of anything. I didn't ask for anything at all. And so I was a little bit, annoyed, but I just kept going with it and said, okay, we're walking down. I can't tell them they can't, walk down with me or me with them. I could run away, I suppose, but it would have been awkward and it wasn't that bad. Well, the problem with people not listening, especially now, that veil, holy cow, very thin, if not non-existent. I knew that this guy, the younger of the 2, he's about 72, 74, I don't know, 70 something, about 20 years difference. Please lock into that. I'm not ageist. However, please don't make some assumption of me whether you're 74 or you're 24. Please don't make any assumption of anybody. I wasn't making any assumption at all. Just because we share, Florida is our, birthplace doesn't mean anything to me. Just because we know the menu of my favorite restaurant where I used to live also means nothing to me. Divinity guides me, not a face out here in 3D who's telling me what I should be doing to be free. I'm like, dude, you're kind of annoying me. However, I don't want to be a straight strapped butthole about it. I was just like, okay, whatever, just let this man think whatever he thinks, and when we get down to the bottom, I'm gonna hop in my car and drive away, and that's gonna be the end of the day. Because I talked to a lot of people on the trails. Coloradans and other hikers here from out of state are very friendly. We say hello or whatever, but we don't generally set up coffee or anything. That's not happened before. I've also never run into anybody that was from the place that I came from and talked to me about the menu of my favorite restaurant. That was awkward. And so there was the assumption based on that hook in that we were going to be instant friends. And when he asked if he could take a picture, and I said, okay. And he got real super duper familiar, like, hugged. And I don't know if he realized it or not. I wasn't exactly aware of it until I looked at the picture and went, oh yeah, he's like right here. I mean, he had his hand right here and was like pulling me in. I didn't dig it. I did not dig it, but I was trying to preserve the dignity of what this man was trying to be, because I got it. I'm like, oh no, we're not going there. And I don't want to be just rude and embarrass someone because they want to be kind, if they're truly wanting to be kind. And I was getting the drop in from spirit that this is a man that's interested in getting friendly with you. Keep walking and keep walking fast. And there were the weirdest coincidences. I used to have a Belgian draft, which is a gigantic horse that my guy Noah was a blonde dude horse, right? 2,000 pounds, think Clydesdale, except a blonde, and had a blonde mane and chestnut color, kind of, actually lighter tan, but beautiful. He looked like Fabio, right? Noah. And he's talking and he says, oh, I had a Belgian drafter, named Katie. Like, that's really weird, You're from the same area. I mean, it's building up, right? The scene has been set that we have all this in common. And he kept saying that. It's just amazing, isn't it? How much we have in common. And I'm thinking, except 2 decades. We have absolutely nothing in common for 2 decades, except for what I can read or talk to about, the elders in my family, And I didn't want to be mean. It's just, I'm not interested, dude, in that. If it had stopped at that and just been that's so neat, that's really cool, but to keep trying to drag it into the wrong school of we're going to continue to, put this at the place of we've got something going here because we've obviously been brought together by God or spirit or, I don't know, cosmic phenomenon that the veil is thin and I'm going to tell you what I'm about, friend. And I got it. And I was like, okay, well, ignorance gets in my way too, just like everybody else. And I was trying to be nice. And I've been accused of being a real BA. So, I do try. And I'm going to, really shrink back and say, probably not going to do it that way ever again. That's what I always say and try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Well, this is what happened. At the bottom of the trek, I started making a beeline for my car, and he said, oh, we should, exchange numbers. I'm going to be in this area. And he had a time on target for when he was leaving the area. And I thought, cool, how invested could you be if you're not going to be here, if you're leaving in another week or two and you're traveling away, and he goes, yeah, and I'm going out of town. We're going to Breckenridge, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, okay, safe enough, and the brother asked about hiking again and stuff. And I thought, okay. And so I said, oh, to go hiking, my mouth was telling him, now, when we're blind, deaf, and dumb, and we just, nope, I don't want to hear that, and I don't want to know what the truth is, that this woman's really setting up the boundary of, I'll meet you to go hiking, and that's about it. I'm not interested in doing anything else, and all the rest of that stuff, stop talking about my hair and anything else. You've already kind of gotten a freebie there. That, we're not that. And please don't get familiar just because we shared the air in Florida. That's not a good tie. I don't care what it is. No. But so I haven't always figured out in those circumstances. Sometimes I do. I'm able to say, yeah, no, I'm not interested in you, and make it pleasant. And I was really just trying to be kind because these are elderly gentlemen, and the one guy, the brother, tells me that the one who's super interested, he's getting test results tomorrow and it's a big deal. And the implication is He's sick. And he kind of confirmed that, I don't need to be a psychic, a medium, or an intuitive to catch the scene that's being set up. And I thought, well, I don't want to be cruel, that if this man's on his last leg, I don't want to be a jerk or anything. And I wasn't. It's just that doesn't oblige me to being a part of anything that you're about, just because that's your world and that's your route, right? That's not for me, then it's not for me. It doesn't matter what the situation could be. If I'm not interested in divinity, hasn't led me right to that door of, investigate that some more. I was very much getting the ease up and just keep putting the boundary and listen carefully to what's being said, which is, oh, we're going to Breckenridge. That's like 2.5 hours away. I'm like, cool. You're leaving tomorrow? Then, my phone number, I'm not going to invite you over or anything, and I'm certainly not going to tell you where I live or anything like that. So it was a relatively low risk engagement to share my phone number, and it got very strange. And there was the assumption that just because this gentleman was interested, love my hair, love my whatever, just because someone else finds me attractive does not mean that I'm obligated already to take that up as my reality. I didn't feel any connection other than just that's really cool, that we've got some very serendipitous stuff here, synchronicity. And synchronicity doesn't mean that we're going to be in a loving, romantic frequency together. It's the alignment of people that are sharing a mountain and we're from the same space for whatever reason. I didn't need to investigate it, interview it, or go commando on, my FBI about it. I just knew that that's really cool. I talk to people routinely. We chat, and we go on about our business, and we don't exchange numbers necessarily. I met a guy yesterday from Florida. I didn't take his number. He and his son, they're vacationing. Okay. I don't do that often. And so I kept kind of living in that space of, Spirit, what is this? What is this? And excuse me. So proceeding on, I got phone call after phone call, like 7 phone calls. I stay on Do Not Disturb Me. Just don't, because I don't want to talk to people. I don't. I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb. I don't check messages. I don't do any of that stuff until I get around to it, because I lived that life of complete compulsive OCD. Gotta check and make sure that everybody is taken care of, and except me. And I would return phone calls or whatever begrudgingly, or I'd avoid it until it just became so impossible to avoid. I mean, it's a terrible system. So I was running away from my responsibilities, and the last 3 years I've spent cut down on the responsibilities that aren't really mine, that aren't divine. Get rid of that horse shit right away, and then I'll selectively choose how I want to play. And so the fact that he was bombing me up and stuff, I thought, well, okay, he's kind of goofy. And he said he had autism, because I told him, I like to tell people straight up, look, I have autism. It makes communication awkward sometimes if I say something offensive. I mean, give him the whole thing, that here's the warning that I'm pretty straight strapped on what I say, that I don't play. And I also tell people that to let them know that if I'm not interested in you, that's going to be a very awkward conversation if you aren't getting those little subtle hints, and then the hint, and then the line of no. And it's not going to be fine if it goes all the way up there. If I have to, disengage at that level, it's probably going to be very unpleasant. And I don't go there. I don't even try to go there as a general rule, because I don't want to be in that position. However, we were going to school, this guy and I. And I'm like, kept saying, I'm happy to meet you at the gem show. They were going to a mineral and gem show. And I said, oh yeah, I'll meet you over there, because I was thinking I might go anyway. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be going to Denver for the show. I can meet with them. Okay, why not? Well, the beauty of listen to divinity, just block that number and move it out. I'm glad that I didn't, because I learned a lot. But here it is. Spirit set it up, right? And I can choose. I can choose any way I want to. And I'm glad that it went there so that I could learn how to really hear and see the frequency, especially now that we're in retrograde, we're in, different cycles, and, we are upgrading. Ascension, whatever you believe in spiritually, we're upgrading. And the energy is weird, funky, and people are in some very strange places, making strange decisions and saying the dumbest stuff. Like, Are you not hearing? No. And so I try to be sensitive to that because I do know that, and I am intuitive and an empath, and I do try, and I could feel that this guy just really, he's goofy, and he's got autism, he said, and I'm like, okay, well, I have autism too. Maybe this is a communication issue with his neurodiversity, and he's probably got some terminal diagnosis, which he did later fill in, very coyly, like, well, coyly, is that a word? In a very coy manner, that, I have a phone call with the doctor tomorrow and we'll see. Like, don't play games with me. I said, is this and then I pulled back because Spirit said, don't engage that. If he's playing games already about that, let him have it. Well, I should have that's when I probably could have, and maybe I should have if I didn't want to be creeped out the very next day. So I really could have let him go right then and say, if you're not being square about what that's all about. And he was coy about, how old he was. And I'm not an ageist. It's just that when you're coming in on a frequency that is asking me to be something that I cannot be or I'm not willing to be, your date, your anything, and you're 20 years older than me and creeping me out with, you got some boundary issues, dude, all day. And soft, gentle Katie went away because we got, he was going to the show, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I didn't make it to the gym show. I went hiking. I did some other stuff because he was, well, I think we're going to do this. And like, you do whatever you want to do and have fun. Bye. I'm out and I'm on Do Not Disturb Me. Don't bother me. That's how I live my life, is I don't want to be bothered. When you know what you're doing, if you're swinging back through the springs, let me know. Could have dropped that part of it, but he did. He actually called me, and I was in Garden of the Gods having a great time, hiking around and getting to safer ground because it's, doable for me. I didn't have to shimmy and, boot scoot anywhere. I could walk on pavement, So he called me, and I was a little bit annoyed. I'm like, what, should be a clue, right? If I'm annoyed with you and I don't even know you, oh, wow, that doesn't bode well for the future. However, stick with me. We're all learning, right? I'm learning. At a minimum, I'm learning because I definitely don't have it all figured out just yet. Got another big chunk, though. So he called me. He's like, yeah, I'm on my way to blah, blah, blah. And I said, what is it that you want from me? Are you coming, from the gym show or whatever? And he goes, well, yeah, I was thinking maybe I should come over right now. And so the drop in from Spirit was, let this person do whatever he wants to do. Let him choose. Just say, hey, you do what you would like to do. I don't need you to leave your plan. I don't want you to. No, because if I say, oh, sure, that would be beautiful, do it that way, then it becomes cannon fodder for later, perhaps, and it did, that I drove all the way over here for you, blah, 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 blah. So when people bring me that kind of junk, like, no, I'm going to lob that right back over to your court and say, I'm here doing my life and enjoying Garden of the Gods, and you can choose to come through Colorado Springs or not. However, I don't care for you to do something that you're not interested in doing. If you're going to be here, great. Maybe we can meet for dinner later as you're suggesting. However, you altering your whole plans in your life, nah, I'm not interested in that. I don't do that. And I was very clear about that. Well, he told me his mouth was saying all the right things. Well, I don't want to, assume anything. His mouth was saying all the right things. And the cognitive dissonance was, I know this man has an agenda. Why I'm here messing with it? I don't know. I think Spirit just wanted me to go and say, here, we're going to test this out. We're going to really feel this and know this. And it's not a matter of using anyone. It's a matter of, I'm willing to play and do what divinity asks of me to do, and to be a friend like I said I would do, that I'm a friend enough, an associate enough that we can go hike. Some assumption that somebody else is making, that's not my fight, man. That's not mine. That's not my battle. And I'm also not going to take any garbage or junk or flack about somebody that's not understanding that. That is your, misunderstanding. But I could tell, even though the mouth was saying everything, it sounded just right, that, oh yeah, well, maybe I'll go ahead and go. And I said, when you figure it out, just let me know. However, I'm here and I'm going to be continuing here at Garden of the Gods. That's what I'm doing. And, take that or leave it. But, no, I don't need you to do anything. So the bottom line is that he did decide to alter his plans. That's on you, man. That he wanted to come through and come in and go, I'll come right now. And he completely diverted and didn't go to the mineral show at all. Didn't go at all, just came directly. So drove like a full hour out of his way because it wasn't direct to get from Breckenridge to have started going to, Denver and then down. And so, whatever. I didn't understand the geography of that until I got the later about it. So because I didn't care. Like, if that's what you choose to do, I'm lobbing it back to you. That's not mine. It's whatever you choose to do. Well, we were chatting about where to go for food and, what kind of food you like and blah, blah, blah. And, well, I want you to have whatever you'd like to have. I said, hey, how do you feel about Korean? I love Korean. Cool. So I sent him a place, I'd never been there. Sent him the place and said, I'll meet you over there. How much time before you get there? And I already knew, no, because when I was talking to him, dude, he was talking about a massage table, and I can go get the massage table from my brother's house and give you a massage. And I said, no, I'm not interested in that. I mean, I was very clear. That's where, the person that I am, Asperger's or not, whatever it is that takes me to that spot, it's a history of letting people abuse me, walk all over me, and end up in situations where I'm on a massage table going, oh God, I wish I wasn't here. So I'm very clear that I'm divorced 3 years now, and I've spent 3 years getting very clear about what I'm willing to do, and it's not to mess with a fool who can't take a hint or a strict boundary of, no, I'm not interested in that. And while I went to lunch, I was already kind of committed, and I didn't want to be cruel, I didn't, because I really have been called all kinds of terrible things about, you're so I tried. I'm like, maybe I can shape this man's understanding of what I'm willing to do. And I was pretty sure that dinner was going to be brief and a one and done, because I was telling Spirit, I don't know why I'm having this kind of fun. However, blow this man off of me if this is wrong. If divinity is not bringing this for anything other than, for both of us to learn and engage with one another on a very short-term basis because he creeps me the bleep out, then, please bring me up to speed immediately, divinity, with what in me is wrong that I cannot see everything that mouth is saying. This sounds so perfect and so right that it just doesn't feel right. Well, fast forward to, I get to the restaurant, and we proceeded that, can I hold your hand? No. And then wanted to know about, I've had surgery and I have, a roadmap going in here. I got no belly button. I had a pretty traumatic event, tragic, a terrible story, blah, blah, blah. And I was in the hospital for 4.5 months with a whole bunch of surgeries and nearly dead. That's also why I don't play around. Get out of your head, dude. So he apparently has a whole history with that kind of junk too. He goes, yeah, and my first wife, okay, how many of them are there? Oh, I've been married twice. Yeah, you're already kind of, not impressing me with who you are, and I'm not interested in dating you. However, you're letting me know all about you, boo, and I'm still way unimpressed with you. So he says, my first wife, she was just horrified, and I was just wondering, how do you feel about scars? Would you want to see my scars? And I'm starting to wonder, do I just get up and walk out? Am I going to be that kind of bitch that just says, yeah, I'm bye. I mean, get my keys and just walk out. From now on, I probably will. And he said, would you be interested? I said, no, not at all. I said, and I'm not interested in seeing anything naked on anybody unless I know that's what I want to do, and I don't want to do that, not with you. And I wasn't mean. I just said, no, that's not where I want to be with that. No, I'm not interested in that. And, brought up the massage thing and stuff. And he goes, well, I'm very intuitive. I feel like I could really help, some hot spots in you and everything. And I said, I'm really not interested in that. I mean, I was starting to get irritated. And we were there for about 2 hours, and he had a special something that he wanted to take me to. I'm like, why are we eating Korean if you've got some special seafood restaurant you wanted to take me to in an hour and a half? Why are we here? What kind of a, ding dong agrees to do this and then looks at me funny because we're sitting in the Korean restaurant for 2 hours, and he's miffed that I eat slow, dude. I have to, unless you want to see my food. After I've chewed it and swallowed it, I have some bowel things. I had 1 million surgeries in there. I eat slow, and I have to. That's the way that has to go. And other people, if they don't want to hang with it, that's fine. However, people can get up and walk away. I can finish eating my food, either at the table by myself, or I'll pack that shit up and take it home. I don't need anybody. to be sitting there. And I did tell him at the beginning of our meal that I have to eat very slow. Dinner is, eating and is a slow process. I'm more of a snacker, just because that's my body's needs. It can get a little janky. And apparently he didn't hear me, or he wasn't willing to hear me, because somewhere out of the blue, he said, well, we've spent 2 hours here. All right, well, thank you, Big Ben. Why are you telling me that, man? What's the point? And the implication was that I was taking too long and I wanted to do this. I had plans and I came all the way from, and I said, excuse me? I said, I didn't ask you to, wing it and sing it and bring it here, from the show that you didn't want to go to. And this man, 70 something, I got family members that are old like that, that age, that are older, that age that, are we all just juvenile? What is it? The veil is thin or gone, and people's insecurities are hanging out. And I have really found out that whether it's their insecurities, their vulnerabilities, or their manipulation, I'm not going to sit there long enough to try to figure out which one of those it is and then accommodate for it. If that, because what ended up happening is I needed to get some Tylenol, and I had said that, and he said, oh, I have to get some too. Maybe we should go over to the store. So he's getting weird at the table, right? Well, I need to get this. And I said, hold up. And he's kind of wanting to be punishing about how long we've been in the restaurant. We've taken so long. And I said, dude, what is it that you want from me? Well, I had plans and I had this. And I said, look, I'm sorry. You did not hear me say, apparently, that this is how I play. This is what I need to do to consume my food without sharing it with you after I already have. I don't like that. Not because I throw up on you, because it doesn't feel good. That's the truth of that. But I was really getting irritable and just, working with the waitress of, bag this up so I can throw it away when I get to my apartment. And I did, I don't want that. But I was working, talking to the waitress, and after chatting with this man for a few minutes, tried to close it up because it was becoming very apparent to me that, okay, Spirit's blowing this up. Thank you. That's what I asked for. Thank you, Spirit, for setting me free from this really toxic energy that, we got outside and he said, well, can we walk over to Walgreens and, get the Tylenol? And I said, because he was wanting to go to the store across the street over there. I said, well, I'm just going to go to the Walgreens, it's right there. Why would I do a U-turn and all that other stuff? Oh, well, can we walk together and I'll hold your hand? No. And I said, no, I'm not interested in that. Are you hearing the cycle 36? Are you hearing the pattern of no? And it got straight strapped stupid that I said, I don't know what you want from me or what you are expecting from me. However, I don't appreciate that you're not giving me the solution to the problem. I said, I'm sorry that dinner took longer and it's ruined your plans for the evening. Can we go to that restaurant later? Because I knew he was going to chime and down himself out. So I was okay with saying that. If he had been willing, I would have been committed. But I was pretty sure I knew what I was dealing with, which was a bullshit artist that just wanted to manipulate and act like a child and have a temper tantrum. I don't care that there's, pending death involved. That sounds horrible, perhaps. However, don't be using, very emotional things against someone because you're not getting what you want, because that came out too. Well, dude, I don't even know you. Native Floridian or not, that doesn't make us, compatible. Doesn't even make us hiking buddies at this point. Makes me running away from you in a minute. So when I put some stuff in my car and I turned around and he came right up on me and I said, what are you doing? I said, don't kiss me. Because he was coming at me. Now, most people, it's been 3 years since I'm divorced. However, I'm pretty familiar with what it is to, seem like somebody's coming for my lips. They have been kissed once or twice. And I said, don't kiss me. This man backed up and said, I wasn't going to do that. And I said, well, what were you going to do? Well, I was just going to hug you. And I said, well, what the hell makes you think that's any better? I said, no, you've been jacking around and acting weird. You're not giving me the solution to the problem. I've apologized. I've said, how can we fix this? And you're pouting. And see how it amped up into, go there with me. go there with me and then violate a very strict boundary. I already told you, making love and all that shit, you were wrong, dude. You weren't legit. And I was wrapping it up to leave gracefully, and I still did because I didn't slap the shit out of him or anything. However, he was butt sore for a minute. I mean, like, straight minute. And it continued, apparently. And I said, I don't know what you want from me. However, I'm leaving now. And I'm going to go get my Tylenol where I live, which is not here. So you do whatever you have to do. I said, I'm sorry you're disappointed. I said, but you don't get to just, it wasn't a kiss, it was just a hug. I said, you got to understand boundaries. I don't care what else you're used to or what your situation is. That's not how I play. And you might want to change your, methodology there about how you're dealing in the future with anybody, because that's wrong. If other people let you do that, apparently they do. However, that's not me. That's not how I operate there, cowboy. I mean, I was pissed that, what are you doing? And then throw it back on me in that gaslighting stuff. Why are you so sensitive? I said, oh, I gotta go now. And so I jumped in, Matilda. I started driving away and going, thank you, God, and clearing that energy out. Whoo, old guy perv energy, man. Clear it out. Clear it out. I was doing all kinds of prayer, 39, and cleansing, came home and, Palo Santo the shit out of everything about me and threw that food away in the dumpster before I ever came up to my apartment. But that was so wrong, okay? And where we landed on that was I got in my car and I came home, and on the way home I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll make sure I block him. And I didn't do it as I was driving because that was a little bit much. I'm like, yeah, I have time, to get home, and I'll make sure I block him. And, he didn't know where I live or anything. There wasn't no social media contact, nothing. Then I'm good. I have until I get home. No, apparently I didn't. I'm on Do Not Disturb. So I got home, and apparently Mr. Inappropriate had disturbed the air by leaving me 2 or 3 messages. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go on to Denver. I don't guess you're interested in going. Do you have any inclination to go? And at first I was thinking, is this message from earlier or something? Because that's just weird. That's very, very strange, isn't it? Yes, it is. Because it was about 10 minutes after I left that area, and he's leaving me a message as if nothing happened. Nothing happened. Now, friends, the reason I'm telling you this story is that the assumption and the implication that because synchronicity or coincidentally we are connected somehow to a place, or the restaurant, all of these things, or we're getting the tie-in buy-in of, I'm dying, I need to have fun, let's go have recess. He kept saying that, I just want to have fun because I've got to go and get treatment and blah 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 blah. And I was thinking, okay, well, I can go for Korean and bulgogi, okay, and then I'm going to go home because I don't want a massage, That's not part of what I consider recess, to prostitute myself with an older gentleman that I'm not even remotely interested in. You remind me of my grandpa, no, that's, straight up, somebody's grandpa, actually not my grandpa. He looks like somebody that would have been that age-ish and died, fortunately, years ago. He was a creepy man. And so, it just was really wigging me out. And so I'm praying hard and going, Spirit, what is this? Well, what it was the opportunity to see that people are vulnerable. And, diagnosis or not, you don't get to use people's vulnerabilities or their emotional willingness to try to, soften the blow of the harsher things in life. I was trying to be understanding, but not his wife, and making the continued drop-in of, I'm not dating anybody. And I said, I'm not either. However, I'm not interested. I said, I'm not interested in dating. I got other shit I'm doing with my world. And it's not that. And it isn't that I'm not interested in dating. I didn't want to be so blunt, though maybe I should have been. Should have been that I'm not interested in dating you. You're not it. And I knew that. And it wasn't related exclusively to his age. However, him not catching on that you're being coy about how old you are. And when I'm 42, when I am straight asking you, how old are you? Well, I said, how old are you? How old are you? I'm not playing around. And he tells me, he goes, but, and I said, you don't have to explain yourself. There's nothing wrong with it. That's not where my issue is. I have a problem with the age gap because what you look like a creeper from my past. I left that part out, but I was really stretching myself. That's where I stretched hard, right? Trying hard. Well, I don't need to stretch into that yard. It was nasty. It was junkyard, dog, for all I care, is that you're not catching a hold that it doesn't matter whether your diagnosis is terminal or not, whether you have 6 months, 6 years, or 6 decades. That's a wrong equation to come in on a wrong frequency of incompatibility because of dishonesty. Now, I could have dealt with this man, his issues, and been a decent friend if that's truly what his mouth and his intention were meaning, friend. That it wasn't, though. The mouth and the feet were in direct contradiction to one another. Oh yeah, I'll give you your space as I'm coming in, to kiss your face. That's not. And I didn't take the time to try to school this man up on, do you understand how ignorant you are in what you're saying and doing? Because that wasn't about him anymore. That was about, I've got to move away from this and go cleanse my energy and my space and understand and process this in a brand new way and see that the veil is very much affected by Mercury retrograde and the fact that we're in a full moon in Pisces, harvest moon is here, and lots of stuff for people to fear. And being afraid of someone and their emotional ability being that unstable, you got to get away from me, because I work too hard to keep my stuff all collected and together and kind and loving as much as I can be. However, it's going to go into some places that don't seem very kind or loving in their frequency when I have to say, absolutely not, buzz off. No, what are you doing? And then throw it back on me because too much of a coward to say, yeah, I'm just a lying asshole and I'm not really interested in being anything except in your bed with you or you and mine. You want to go swimming? You want to go in the hot tub? I said, no, I don't. I'm going to go home now. Now, even sooner. And I did block him, but not before he left me very strange messages. And as I woke up today with all the emotional, weird stuff of just all the planetary stuff, we have 5 or 6 planets now in retrograde all at one time. That's pretty significant and noticeable. And so, crying and this man came up and I thought, oh yes, I need to share this, that just because people have some, synchronicity or there's coincidences, coinkydink. Sometimes we need to just take that as, that's a coinkydink, that's neat. Bye. That's really neat. And just because that's there, just because it seems like, this is my future husband, it's not because his mouth was saying it. That's not the way to play it. And I told him that please don't, please don't. That I'm not interested in being pushed into any one direction by anybody. I don't need you. I don't need anybody. So that means that I can choose very carefully, and I can already tell you that I'm not interested in that. I'm doing other things with my world, and the person that is truly meant for me isn't going to be infringing on my space or trying to touch and kiss my face. After you get a boob shot, man, you're already lucky you got there. I was really kind of slimed and grimed when I noticed the picture and went, ew. And that's okay because I cleansed it away. And that was a valuable lesson for me to learn about how to play in the future, especially now that the intensity and the weirdness and the emotional, frazzled stuff, that's not going to get any better. We're on our way. We're trucking into, more and more and more and more and more, because as we are ascending, whether everybody on the planet believes it or not, look around. We're in a very, very, very hot spot and a very busy time when a lot of emotions are flying around, and people that are already not very mature in how they handle their emotions, my goodness, are you noticing that they're losing their minds at the dumbest stuff and very quickly and big, because he went off the rails with, I wasn't going to do that. And if that's not what you were going to do, why would you have that reaction there, boo? Why are you so... And for me to sit there and try to school that up, why? I'm not interested in spending more than about 30 seconds as I scratch around for my keys, and that's it. So why would I stand there and try to rehab that or educate that or do anything with it except cut it loose and say, I'm sorry that that's your experience, dude, but that's on you, and leave me messages about going somewhere else after, did you not see that? The inappropriosity of that, the ridiculosity of that? Apparently not. So right now is a time when you're probably going to see people really cranking down hard and acting ridiculous. Those people that were on the edge of ridiculous, they probably go right over it. And those people that, you know, seemed very stable and seemed very whatever because they've gotten away with their mouth saying one thing and their feet doing another, we're not allowed to do that anymore. It's much more noticeable. The emperor's new clothes, we see you. Yes, we do. And some of us, we've seen you for a couple of years now, boo. It's just that everybody else coming into alignment with you. With, oh my God, is that really what that's about? And then we're reviewing, you know, through Mercury retrograde, through Saturn return, through all kinds of stuff, and burn, you know, Neptune. And we're noticing, if we look back, those of us doing that inventory, we're seeing, oh my God, that's been messed up this whole time. That's really how that was. I was standing in the wrong line, believing the face and the mouth that's not consistent with feet. No, bring on the heat and blow it up. And that's what I asked for, Spirit. Please remove this from me. Show me how to remove it immediately when it's no longer part of my inventory of what I need to be doing. And 2 hours of a lesson to go in and very lucky, I suppose. I don't think Spirit would have let me get very close to being harmed. However, it did gross me out, and I had to work through my own traumatic past with people being gross and nasty and inappropriate. And because of that stupid little tie-in, buy-in of, well, that's your so-and-so, they get to creep you out because they're related to you. No, you don't. No, you don't. I don't do that. You know, that's how people get hurt. That's how people get lied to, bamboozled, and then dragged by, you know, all kinds of horrible situations because we think we have to put up with that junk. We're related, or we're, you know, on a date, or there's some assumption. Please, and I did tell him, please don't make any assumptions about me. I'm not the person you want to do that with because I don't, 4949, I don't make them about anybody else. However, when you start giving me hardline material that I'm seeing, this is an assumption, this is evidence of who and what you really are. Emperor's new clothes, dude, you're not hiding very well because I'm intuitive as bleep and very obvious when you're coming at me. So if you're feeling a little freaky, if you're feeling a little bit like, this is very bizarre, it is. People are losing their minds and they're losing their divine because they weren't really connected in the first place and they really were never very fine. And so it's a good time to get inside, especially now. We're in Pisces with that. We're all watery and possibly very emotional and, you know, intuitive, and it can bring up a lot of stuff with that review. So thank you very much for your time. I'm glad that I was able to explain this to you. I hope it was helpful. It's a long one. My goodness, these are so long, but I needed to do this for me. So if it helps somebody else, that's great. Thank you, Divinity. And remember, 50-50. Remember, folks, to get inside because your divine absolutely is fine. And it will not be fine for as long as it's being run over by somebody else's idea of what divine is in your world. Nobody else can define for me what divinity is to me and for me and how I proceed. And I check in with divinity all day, especially when I'm navigating a relationship with someone or an engagement with someone that I don't know, that they're getting, you know, increasingly weirder and weirder. It's probably going to get to the point where, you know, I will just get up and walk out rather than try to gracefully leave. However, you know, if it's that bad, or not go there at all. However, you know, leaving with grace and not, you know, disgracing someone or embarrassing them, that's a beautiful goal. And when people just will not allow me to do that, it's going to go ugly. And he was, I imagine, embarrassed, or actually, I don't know that he was embarrassed. He got pissy, and I was like, I'm done. I got to go now. I don't know what you want. And I just got in my car and drove off and blocked him when I got home after I didn't listen to the creepy message. I just read it and went, yeah, that's bizarre. Block, goodbye. So no matter what that was to him, I know what it was to me. That was a check-in from divinity of, yeah, this is what you see. Naked, buck-ass, naked man, 20-something years older than me, that did not listen to my divinity tell him, get away from me. Get away from me, because I'm pretty sure I can take you. I'm 20 years younger. You might not want to be hollering at me and, you know, making advances that you can't keep up with. So anyhow, because I'm real invested in my safety, we were in a parking lot. It wasn't going to go there more than likely, but it was just very weird and awkward. And I'm glad that it went there, kind of, because it took me to the place of being able to heal some of that trauma and gross stuff from a man his age, a man about his age that I had an issue with in the last few years, being vulnerable and not able to protect myself. And now I sure as hell can, and I'm gonna use my mouth first to try to be kind. And if it needed to get more invested in something, we'd have gone in that line. That's fine. I'm gonna do whatever it takes there to get me away from you. I don't like that. I'd much rather that people paid attention, listened. However, that dude wasn't listening from the straight start. So, you know, I don't know him well enough. I didn't. And I was pretty sure that what I was feeling was, you know, his agenda. And why I stayed and play, that's interesting to me, because sometimes I feel like a fool, and then okay, divinity's helping me work through this, that we're going to help him learn, whatever. We're going to get you, Kate, to navigate this situation however it needs to happen, because for whatever reason you're here, whether it's God directed or Kate just lost her mind or whatever it was in between, we're going to make it fine, because Spirit does do that. And that's what I asked for, is that if this man is not part of anything I'm supposed to be working with for some reason, blow him up, get him off, and remove him. And it couldn't have been better. 2 hours of, Korean barbecue was fantastic. Threw it away and, said goodbye. And came home and spent today being very weirded out a little bit as I worked through that disgusting feeling of an older man being way inappropriate, and not going back to that youngster in me that couldn't handle that amount of inappropriosity. So thank you very much. I really need to stop now. My God, 55 minutes almost. So take care of yourselves and enjoy whatever part of the day you're in, friend. And remember, do get inside, because you're divine. It really is fine. It really is fine. Kiss it, love it, yourself, so that when you're ready to reach out and hug and love up on somebody else, you'll know when it's appropriate to go, right? So take care of yourselves and enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in. Get within. You're divine. Totally fine. Take care, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.